Natural disasters are terrifying and unpredictable, so much so that they make people feel helpless. After all, when a natural disaster strikes, there isn't much you can do other than pray, right? Not at all, because if you follow these 10 tips, you'll significantly improve your chances to survive the world's most common natural disasters. Number 10. Volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruptions are, without a doubt, one of the most destructive events that you can experience. But on the bright side, scientists nowadays can pretty much predict when a volcanic eruption is likely to occur. So you should have enough time to leave the danger zone. But if for some reason you're caught off guard during a volcanic eruption, here's how to stay safe. If you're outside, you obviously need to run as soon as you hear an explosion, or any loud noise for that matter. However, make sure you look up every once in a while to avoid objects that might be falling in your direction. It's highly advisable you head towards higher grounds in order to avoid lava rivers. But your primary goal should be to find a shelter that isn't filled with ash. You see, ash is particularly heavy when wet. It therefore puts too much pressure on the structure, which might cause the roof to collapse. If you're visiting a volcano, make sure to bring an emergency backpack with a respirator and goggles to protect yourself from toxic gases that are released into the atmosphere as a result of volcanic explosions. Also, one of the most dangerous things about volcanoes are pyroclastic flows, which are fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter that moves at about 100 kilometers per hour. And if that isn't horrifying enough already, these flows can reach temperatures of 1,000 degrees Celsius and travel long distances, up to 15 kilometers, at speeds of up to 700 kilometers per hour. The best way to survive one of these flows is to heed warnings and stay out of the way in the first place. But if you're caught in the path of one, try to find some sort of strong cover. If it's not adequate and you're very close to the flow, your best bet is to run or drive as fast as you can to safety. Stay away from the valleys and pray you can outrun it. Unfortunately, because of how unpredictable and destructive they are, there's very little else you can do. Number 9. Snowstorms. When a snowstorm hits, you obviously want to stay in the comfort of your home. And if there's one thing you really need in your home during a snowstorm, that would have to be running water. But unfortunately, water pipes tend to freeze in extremely low temperatures. That's why it's important to wrap your pipes with foam insulation. Next, make sure you have your food supplies ready on time, because you need to avoid grocery shopping during a snowstorm after all. But if you're already outside when the snowstorm hits, you need to find some sort of shelter immediately to avoid freezing to death. If you can't find some sort of cave not occupied by a bear, you should build a snow shelter. Start by digging a hole into the snow on the side of a hill, discarding the extra snow downhill. Carve into the snowbank at an uphill angle. This will create a sleeping area above the doorway, which is important since hot air rises, so you'll stay warmest at the top of your cave. You should also use a skinny branch to create some ventilation holes so that you don't choke and die from your own exhaled carbon dioxide during the night. Finally, pack snow into the entrance to seal yourself inside. Snow acts as a great insulator, so this should keep you warm enough to survive the night. If you're driving, make sure to stay in your car. If you're in an area prone to blizzards, you should seriously consider keeping essential survival items in your vehicle, such as snow chains, extra clothing, a signal light, and an emergency kit. If your car is stuck, stay inside it and turn your headlights on to warn other drivers who may potentially be able to help you. Also, only turn your heating on for approximately 10 minutes per hour as to avoid running out of gas. Just before you run the engine, check your tailpipe to ensure it isn't blocked by snow. Remove that blockage or the carbon monoxide will be forced into the interior of your car, which will poison you. Number 8. Tornadoes. Meteorologists usually warn about upcoming tornadoes 15 to 30 minutes beforehand. But given the fact that tornadoes can swirl up to a speed of 300 miles per hour, it's important to act fast. And by acting fast, I don't mean running, because no matter how quick you are, you can't possibly outrun a tornado. Instead, you should first attempt to take cover in a basement. If you don't have a basement, just get to the strongest room without windows on the lowest floor, lie on the ground, and cover your head with your arms. Ideally, try to get under a strong table to protect yourself from fast-moving debris. Use sofa cushions, mattresses, and blankets for some extra protection. Bathrooms are also a good place to hide because they're fortified by pipes. If you're in your car and you don't have enough time to outrun it or reach some sort of shelter, park your car in an open area furthest away from trees or any other objects that might fly into you. Wrap blankets and other puffy items of clothing around your head and pray you don't go flying. In fact, if you find a ditch or spot that's lower than everything around it, dive into the dirt like a mole. Trees and debris will be flying like bees, so keep your head down. Number 7. Hurricanes. Hurricanes seem to be more common now than ever, especially around the Caribbean. And given how devastating and costly they can be, it's pretty important that you know these tips to stay safe. First, you should plan ahead and know how to evacuate to a local shelter in the event you don't have a car. Also, make sure to have emergency supplies consisting of any medications you may need, as well as 3 days of non-perishable food that doesn't require cooking, and 3 days of water, providing a gallon of water per person per day. Also helpful would be a battery-powered radio that can receive broadcasts from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. If a hurricane warning is issued, bring inside anything that can be tossed inside by the wind, and close and board up all windows and doors with plywood, unless you have hurricane shutters. Also, fill up your car with gas, and if you're in a high-rise, make plans to stay with friends between floors 3 and 10. If you live near a river or floodplains or in a mobile home, you should evacuate. Before the storm hits, fill up your bath with water for an extra supply if needed, and unplug any appliances and gas tanks. When it hits, stay away from doors and windows, and hide in the most secure place in your home, similar to when a tornado hits. That radio is essential, so listen out for more updates regarding the hurricane. The radio will also give you evacuation orders or instructions on how to survive in your shelter. If you evacuated, you shouldn't return home until you're advised to do so. But once you are home, it's important that you avoid downed power, and if you spot structural damage or smell a gas leak, stay far away as it can be extremely dangerous. Number 6. Avalanche. If you're someone who enjoys alpine skiing, then an avalanche is probably your biggest nightmare. One moment you're having the time of your life, and the next, a huge pile of snow is threatening to bury you alive. That's something no living being wants to experience. But in case you do, here's how you may just survive one. If you're near a tree, try to grab onto it and climb it. If there's no tree, then you're in for a ride, but don't lose hope. Immediately cover your mouth to avoid swallowing snow, and try to avoid crashing into anything. Most people die from being unable to breathe, so remember this tip as it may save your life. Try to keep your head above the swelling cloud of snow around you. Whatever it takes, thrashing, kicking, or breaststroke, just try to stay on top. Keep hold of a backpack of clothing items, as they'll act as cushions in case you hit anything. If you're covered, once the snow settles, all you can do is wait for rescue. All that snow around you will set like cement, but if you can, try to punch your way to the surface. The problem is, sometimes you don't know which way is up, so experts suggest you spit. The direction your dribble moves with gravity tells you which direction to move. Try to punch or kick your way to the surface, or at least create an air shaft this way. Number 5. Wildfire. As usual, it's best to stay away if you foresee this event. But if not, remaining calm and clear-headed may save your life. If you're on foot and caught in the middle of a wildfire, immediately protect your airways by covering your mouth with a wet cloth and stay low to the ground. If you can quickly climb something or reach higher ground to locate the source of the fire, try to do so, and then formulate 3 different escape plans. Try to stay uphill from the flames and downwind from the fire. If the wind is blowing past you and into the fire, you need to be running into the wind. If the wind is blowing from the fire towards you, then you need to run away perpendicular to the fire. Remember that winds carry sparks, which may ignite elsewhere, so head for non-flammable terrain. If you're trapped or at home, hunker down and clear as much flammable material as far away from your shelter. If the fire hasn't reached you yet, sprinkle water around your house, cut off any fuel or gas lines, and remove potentially flammable items that may catch alight from embers, like overhanging branches and leaves from your eaves. When inside, close and border off your doors and windows and coat them with water, and wet your clothing to keep you cool in the intense heat. If you're in a car, roll up the windows, close the air vents, and don't drive through heavy smoke. If you must stop, stay in your vehicle and park as far away from trees as possible. Number 4. Landslides. Thankfully, most landslides can be anticipated. So if the authorities order you to evacuate, do so. They can be very dangerous. But if you're caught in the middle of one, the only thing you can do is remove yourself from its path as soon as possible. Avoid rivers and low areas, and if you're driving, proceed with caution and never cross flooded streams. They're much stronger than they look. Also, before you cross bridges, always look upstream to make sure you won't be swept away by any oncoming currents. If you cannot escape, curl up and cover your head with your hands. If you're trapped in a building and it isn't safe to leave, then move to a safe room on the 2nd floor. Number 3. Tsunami. As is the case with most natural disasters, getting prepared for a tsunami will greatly increase your chances of surviving one. Prepare an emergency supply kit and create an evacuation plan in the event of a disaster. If you see warning signs like rapidly receding ocean water or animals moving away from the beach, you should start evacuating. Grab that emergency kit if it's close by, and then immediately head towards higher ground and only stop once you reach a safe distance, which is usually 100 feet above sea level or 2 miles inland. If it's too late for all that, climb trees or buildings to remove yourself from the splash zones and hold on tight. If the worst happens and you get swept up into the water, grab onto something that floats. Do anything you can to keep your head above water until the tsunami is over. In the case of the ensuing flood, barricade your windows and doors against floodwater and then unplug all of your electrical devices. Number 2. Earthquakes. Earthquakes aren't unusual, but some areas in the world are more prone to them than others. So if you live in an at-risk area, make sure to have a survival kit ready and secure down and bolt heavy items that could pose a risk. If you're inside your house, stay away from anything that might fall on your head. Ideally, your entire body should be underneath the table, with one hand covering your head and neck while you hold on with the other. That way, you'll protect your head from falling objects. If you're outside during an earthquake, stay away from trees, power lines, and anything that could fall, including walls, and repeat the previously mentioned procedure. If you're driving, pull over, stop, and stay there until the shaking ends. In this case, you should avoid power lines and overpasses. And number 1, thunderstorms. If you can hear thunder, you're within striking distance of thunder. But stay calm and follow these steps and you should be fine. Seek shelter in a fully enclosed building. Open structures are not safe. Once inside, stay off electronics, plumbing, and corded phones. Lightning can travel through these items. Remain indoors until 30 minutes after thunder ends. If you're outside and there is no enclosed building nearby, but there is a car, get inside it, roll up the windows, and stay off your electronic devices. If you're out in the open, your best bet is to crouch down in an open space on the balls of your feet with your feet together to minimize your contact with the ground. Put your hands over your ears to protect yourself from acoustic shock, which can damage your hearing. If you're with a group, leave at least 20 feet between each person to decrease the risk of more than one person getting struck. Finally, don't take a boat out on the water if a thunderstorm is predicted. If you can't get to land in time, anchor the boat, lie down, and stay inside a cabin on the boat. Avoid touching metal and don't use any electronic devices. So, which tip did you find most useful? Did you learn something new? Let me know in the comment section down below, and thanks for watching.